Welcome to my channel, detailing events throughout the decades. 2000. Air France Flight 4590, Concorde crash. The first test flight took place on March 2, 1969. A few years later, on January 21, 1976, the first commercial flight took place. Concorde was developed and built by British and French engineers. Several major airline companies placed orders for Concorde, but most of these backed out before any agreement was made. The only two airlines that operated Concorde was Air France and British Airways. Concorde could travel at more than twice the speed of sound. It created a sonic boom, which caused complaints and resulted in Concorde being unable to fly certain routes. For the first few years, it is reported that Concorde operated at a loss. Concorde could also fly at a higher altitude than other commercial aircraft. This meant that air turbulence was less of a problem, and passengers on board could enjoy a much smoother flight. Concorde recorded its fastest flight from New York to London on January 1, 1983, taking only 2 hours 56 minutes. Passengers could enjoy champagne and luxury food while on board, but there was no in-flight entertainment. Up until the year 2000, Concorde was the world's safest aircraft, with no crashes ever taking place. However, this was to change on July 25, 2000. Air France Flight 4590 was an international charter flight departing from Charles de Gaulle Airport, heading to Newark International Airport, New York. Flight 4590 was an aircraft that had been in operation for 25 years. Passengers on board Flight 4590 were on their way to board the cruise ship MS Deutschland in New York. Passengers were to enjoy a 16-day cruise to Ecuador. On board was Captain Christian Marty, aged 54. He had worked for Air France since 1967. First officer was Jean Marco, aged 50. He had been with Air France since 1971. And flight engineer, Gilles Jardineau, aged 58, who had been with Air France since 1968. Just 5 minutes before Concorde departed, a Continental Airlines McDonnell Douglas DC-10 took off from the same runway. When the aircraft departed, it lost a titanium alloy strip, which ended up on the runway. When it was time for Concorde to depart, the aircraft unknowingly ran over this piece of debris, which cut into the aircraft's tire, sending a large piece of tire debris into the underside of the aircraft's wing, sending a pressure shockwave that ruptured No. 5 fuel tank, just above the undercarriage. Fuel began to leak from the ruptured tank, and quickly ignited. It was found that engines 1 and 2 lost all power, with engine 1 recovering slowly after a few seconds. Flames erupted, so flight engineer Gilles Jardineau shut down engine number 2, after the fire warning, and on the advice of the captain. Witnesses traveling near to the airport saw the flames coming from Concorde. Air traffic control also witnessed the flames. They quickly informed the captain, but it was too late. The aircraft had passed the point in which takeoff is considered unsafe to abort. Concorde was now in trouble. It was unable to gain enough speed to carry out the takeoff, and the undercarriage was unable to retract due to the damage caused to the landing gear bay door. Unable to climb or accelerate, the captain struggled to control the aircraft, and all control was lost. The aircraft stalled, crashing into a hotel near to the airport. Sadly, all passengers and crew on board Flight 4590 were killed, along with 4 employees from the hotel. In total, 113 people died in the tragedy. After the crash, all Concordes were grounded, pending the results of the investigation into the crash. France's Accidents Investigation issued its final report into the crash on January 16, 2002. They concluded that the cause of the accident was the piece of debris which had fallen from a Continental Airlines flight just a few minutes earlier. This caused tire debris to rupture the fuel tank, which caused the fire. By this time, the captain was unable to abort the takeoff, and had to fight for control of the aircraft, eventually leading to the crash of the aircraft. French authorities began a criminal investigation of Continental Airlines. In March 2008, the deputy prosecutor, Bernard Ferret, asked judges to bring manslaughter charges against Continental Airlines, and 2 employees who had previously replaced the strip of metal which fell off the aircraft. Continental Airlines denied these charges, and claimed they were being used as a scapegoat. They claimed that Concorde was already on fire when its wheels hit the metal strip, and that 20 witnesses had confirmed to seeing the plane on fire immediately after it began its taxi down the runway. However, despite their denial, Continental Airlines were found criminally responsible for the crash. They were ordered to pay Air France €1 million. John Taylor, the employee of Continental Airlines, was also given a 15-month suspended sentence. However, in November 2012, the convictions were overturned, clearing Continental and John Taylor of criminal responsibility. Air France had paid out €100 million to the families of the victims, and it is reported that Continental were ordered to pay around 70% of these compensation claims. After the crash, modifications were made to all other Concordes. This included Kevlar lining to fuel tanks, and specially designed burst-resistant tires. However, this was not enough to save Concorde, and Air France stopped all Concorde flights in May 2003, with British Airways following this in October 2003. It is reported that new aviation laws in the United States will pave the way for the return of commercial supersonic flights as early as 2023. A memorial was erected just south of Charles de Gaulle Airport to honor those people who were killed in the crash. Forever remembering those people who died that day. May you never be forgotten. Thank you for watching and learning about these tragic events throughout history. Please subscribe to my channel, to view other events throughout the decades.